All right.
Right.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're still here. We've been quiet for the last couple of weeks, couple of months at this point, but there's a good reason for that. We are back with a bunch of announcements today, and we got Chris once again to just talk about everything that's coming. We've been pretty hard at work in the last 2 or 3 months that we've been quiet, and we got some exciting news today. I know you guys probably have even more questions, so as usual, we'll take your questions after this. We got some slides to show and a bunch of news, and yeah, Merry Christmas. How's it going, Chris?
Yeah, no, Merry Christmas, everybody. Yeah, I know that it's the holiday, so don't want to take up too much of everyone's time. So wait, am I muted? You
No,
can
no,
you can hear
you're.
me?
I can hear you at
Okay,
least.
okay. Some people still say I'm muted. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So we have some announcements. You know, we'll see if we feel like they're big or not, but they are important for the game, and responding to actually a lot of players' feedback and stuff that we learned. I thought it'd be a good thing since, as you guys know, we brought Legacy into early access this year, in beginning of the year in February, and the goal of the early access to really um, to test a lot of design aspects and design ideas and test the game and kind of see like how things would go. Our game is a very kind of hard game to make, I think, or to get right, and a lot of stuff we just had to have live to really kind of feel it out to see how it would go. And you can move on to the next slide, Andre. And since that time, we've added a lot of things to the game, responding to feedback, how we felt like cool stuff would be added to the game, stuff that we felt we always wanted to have in the game from the beginning. So if we could just go through like from now up till Gold Master that we're going to have, um, we'll announce the date in a minute, but uh, all the things that we added here is we added two classes. These are classes that we wanted to have in the game from the beginning, and we're happy now to round these out that we'll have them in there. Which is the wizard. We always got this feedback that we wanted to have the sorcery and steel and sorcery, and so we did. And be careful what you wish for, because the wizard was a lot of fun, but also added a lot of a whole new dynamic to the game, I think. And then shortly we're going to be adding the paladin, which is going to be the final class that we're adding for the game for Gold Master, which is like a whole other way to play the game. He's sort of a support class, hybrid blend, and we tip the game now again back to having more melee in the game than ranged, which is interesting. And so that will be a really great addition for the game. We added a lot of new weapons. We added the frost sword for the wizard. We added the sword and buckler for the priest, and then the scorpion tail was the last weapon we just added. We added a lot new maps. We added a night version of Greenwood, which was an experiment. I thought that went really well. I feel like the night map felt so different from the day map. It had this like kind of almost horror feeling, and that's something we've been tuning. We brightened it up a bit after we released it. We added the crypt map, which was like a smaller, contained, almost like a dungeon map, which was an experiment as well, and I felt like that went pretty good as too. And then Morthog's Lair is going to be a new map that we're adding, that we'll talk about, which is our first kind of like boss dungeon. If you remember Morthog, he's the boss that's in Greenwood, and then we moved him to Greenwood Night, and we've we were trying to feel out what we actually wanted with a boss, right? And we do like having world bosses in the maps, and that is always going to be something we're going to be adding, and mini bosses as well. But but we had this really cool idea of having him in his own instance, in his own like little dungeon, and so that's what Morthog's Lair is going to be. And then we added arena system. I know everybody has been having a lot of fun with that. I think, I was looking at kind of the stats, and like the arena map now, it's like one of the most played maps in the game. Um, just because, and I think it helps speak uh, to the combat system and to the core loops of the game feeling really great there. So the arena system added a whole new dynamic. That's something we added this year. The lodge system, I forget if the lodge actually launched with early access or not. I think it had some pieces to it, but We added so much more to the lodge with the different modules like the critter habitat and all of that. We added monetization shop, which was partially, to add monetization to the game, but then also to add rewards like and build that track out things that you can get through the campaign system, which is the quest system that we added with weapon skids, that kind of thing. And then yeah, the whole campaign system. Now I think the game has like something like 13 campaigns or something. We're adding two new ones actually for Gold Master that I'll talk about later. And then fishing, we added fishing, which is like another just kind of little thing that we added as new gathering system. So these are all the things that we added during early access. Was this year just sort of blew by, and it's been fun adding all this new content, shipping it in basically three different seasonal patches, right? So anyway, yeah, Andre, you can move to the next slide. One thing, here's my kind of thoughts. I'm the founder, of the company and the CEO and these things, but I am also just a designer and then also kind of the game director in a sense. And so, how do I feel about the game and like what kind of this is something I touch base on every time we do a season of like how do we feel about the game and how do we feel about the game's direction and all these sort of things. How has early access gone? I'm really proud of the game. I'm really happy. It's really hard to make a game. It's really hard to make a game kind of like ours. And I'm really proud of like all the designs that we added, especially the classes and class design. I think our classes and the class design stand apart in the industry. I think it's better than any MMO combat for me personally. I think this is, and I've heard this from many people. So I'm really proud and happy about that. I think the vision that we wanted for the game, for it to be this PvP VE extraction, has been really well done. I think we did a good job with that. It was really hard to kind of talk about the game and the vision of it when we started it. You know, Tarkov was a game that I had played and looked into when I was at Blizzard actually still, and I thought there was a lot of cool aspects with that game because it was this world PvP experience, and I never really saw a world PvP game that was a dedicated one. And I thought, well, couldn't it really work for RPGs? I think RPG would be better actually, because if you think about it, it really came from Ultima Online. If you think about, I mean, a full loop PvP, open world PvP, these things really came from RPGs in the beginning, and then now, shooters have been doing it. And recently we saw, Arc Raiders do really well, which is, other than Tarkov, I think it's the closest thing to our game. And so it's really great to see like this idea, this like vision of this like player experience resonates with people, and it's not a crazy idea to have this type of game. Even when we started Legacy and released it in early access, there's a lot of like comparisons to say some of the other quote unquote extraction games that are RPG in the genre, right? Like Dark and Darker, for example. And it was interesting because really our game is very different, right? And you can kind of see this now, especially in contrast to say something like Arc Raiders versus Dark and Darker, let's say. Whereas it's more about like more of like an open world session kind of experience, less so about like a dungeoneering roguelike. And it's unique. And so I think there's a lot of potential with it. It's a genre that is evolving. And I think even if you, for example, follow some of what the Arc Raiders Embark team is talking about with the game, or even with like say Tarkov or other extraction games, it's a genre that is new, and all of you playing this genre, our game, other games like it, are an emerging player base. And so these games, this genre is sort of evolving. I think one of the biggest things is figuring out like how to get like the right balance of, I notice a lot of people talking about like loot drops and loot frequency. I think is a really important thing. Like how frequently you engage with other players in combat in the maps is really important. And then also just like end game, like what do you do after you do get loot to make the game sort of engaging? And the closest thing to, I think, really our game or extraction games in general is like in some sense like MMOs, right? Because they have the same sort of situation where you have this burst moment for 4 weeks or so, or 3 or 4 weeks, where you're gearing up, you're getting like the the new tier of gear, let's say. And then after that, there's like some other engaging MMO, or engaging mechanics that keep players interested, and then bring them reasons for them to come back for the next season. So it's a challenging thing. I think even I see, with Embark debating about this, and a lot of people critiquing that game of like, okay, I got like the best things, now what do I do, etc. They're playing with the wipe system, which has some pros and cons. So anyway, it's a tough design space, but it's a fun one, and I think it's one that we've really enjoyed working in, and we have still more ideas and things to go. I think the campaign system that we added was right on track of stuff that makes sense for endgame, and for stuff that goes into the next, like from season to season, that sort of thing. So the other thing I had on here was thinking about kind of so we'll from the beginning, when we talked about, when we had our first meet the devs, what our goals was again to really kind of finish the game with a small part of the community, to fine tune balance, to make sure the game is exactly what we wanted it to be. And I think we really kind of accomplished that. It was never really kind of, although the possibility was always there for the game to like really like take off and just be like a phenomenon or something like that, that would be awesome. But it was never really necessarily the goal, and which is why we never really spent a lot of marketing. We did a lot of experiments and stuff along the way. Um, but I do think marketing is very hard. I think if you look at kind of the industry, and you're all gamers, you're all checking the headlines, and you play other games that are emerging as well. It's a very kind of hard market to really make a game today. This is a whole podcast in itself to talk about why that is and these sort of things. But that is sort of the truth. And so that's been something that, even though just I kind of knew that would be a challenge, it is probably one of our biggest challenges. And so we're going to complete our mission here to launch the game next year, and we're going to give it our best and spend all of our energy and resources on making it as successful as possible. But it is a challenge, and there's no guarantees, and so we'll kind of see how that goes. But so there's that. And then, like I was saying, for the long-term vision of Legacy, yeah, so I think the way I kind of think about our game and the genre of PvP, of extraction, is that it has so much potential. And I think really, if you think about the vision of where we wanted to take our game from the beginning, is we had this like crawl, walk, run vision. The beginning was going to be focused on PvP mainly, and really our game is pretty hardcore when you think about it. And then add PvE over time, and then keep adding more content and experiences to it. A lot of the feedback we got from players by far was more variety in experiences. I think extraction is the core piece of the game, and I think that makes a lot of sense. But people just wanted more ways to play, like other modes. A big one in the very beginning was different queue types, and duo queue and these things like that. And then adding arena, and then we added a better way to onboard and like learn the game, and so we added Goldbrook and that sort of thing. So I think really what the long-term vision of our game and the IP is going to be something more akin to what I would call, and I've said this before on the show before, but like something more akin to like something like a mini MMO. And so really having a variety of experiences, it doesn't mean the game isn't really extraction or whatever, but just has a variety of different experiences, for players. And so yeah, you can go to maybe the next slide, Andre. And so one big thing here is for the launch is we want to rename the game. Even though I do love the name Legacy Steel and Sorcery, a lot of feedback that we had from players and our own kind of feedback internally was just that it's a harder, it's just a lot of words in it. There's a, ampersand, there's all these things. And so we wanted to name the game something about its world. And the world, if you remember, like we had this term in the game called Mythorgard, which was the name we were playing with for what we wanted to name the world. But now we have a new name for the world, which is Eldegarde. And Eld means kind of old, and guard means to protect, which so it kind of feels a little bit like legacy or protecting a legacy. And and so yeah, that is the new name for Legacy Soul and Sorcery. Will be Eldegarde. It's one word. It's a little bit easier, maybe hopefully to remember. It's unique. So yeah, it's something that whenever you rename something, or names are very hard. I think names are like by far one of the hardest things. But with a name, it will also help us kind of convey this vision of, hey, the game's a world. It's not just like a thing, and it's not like a hardcore you know, it's just not like a PvP game per se. We want to broaden it a little more so we can include more experiences, which is indicative of what the game is, because it isn't just an extraction game anymore. It also has arena. It also will have other experiences. And so maybe you can go to the next slide, Andre.
Yep.
So one of the biggest things, three big things that we're adding to Eldegarde now to the game will be, of course, the Paladin. We've showcased the Paladin back in the past, and we'll show images of the Paladin in a moment of what he looks like in game. He has two weapons, which is the Great Hammer and the sword and Great Shield. So it's like a sword and shield. And then we're also adding a PvE extraction option, so players could play the game either PvE or PvP. And if you look at kind of, say, Tarkov or whatever, they added the PvE version of the game. And I predict most extraction games will add PvE over time. And so we're adding this mode here for players who, the idea is that I think the best experience for me personally is PvP, because you get like so many other different like player stories and moments that can happen. But I think it allows players to play the game and warm up and be able to cross-pollinate in PvP. So I think there's always this kind of view that if you add PvE if you just remove PvE from a game, then everyone would just go to PvP. And I just don't think that's the case. I just think you'll just have a reduced amount of players, right? And so yeah, anyway, so we're supporting that. Is by far one of the biggest feedbacks that we got and requests. And one big thing with the PvE, perhaps maybe we'll do another Meet the Devs at some point with John, but we are overhauling loot at a big degree. First of all, we're increasing how much loot you get from the game in general. Like, we're just tuning up all the knobs a lot. And then in PvP, we're even turning it up even more. So in PvP, you'll get like so much more loot than, say, the PvE mode. Yeah, so that would be like a huge thing. And then finally, the final thing we have here is we're adding Morthog's Lair, which is their last map we're adding before release. And this is it's a PvE dungeon, so it's cooperative. You can queue solo or up to 3 people, but it's like mixed, right? And it's more of like a raid. Our vision with it is going to feel more of like a dungeoneering experience. And so if you've heard about this game called Fellowship that came out, right? Like, it was kind of a dedicated like dungeoneering game. And so our game isn't a dedicated dungeoneering game. It's a variety of experiences. And so we're adding this new category, this new bucket here, which is like dungeoneering. And so it's going to be, yeah, so this is our first kind of real like dungeon. And so there's a few other little mini bosses up as you go towards Morthog. It's a whole new map. It looks beautiful. Aaron and Nace and the team all worked really hard on that. Yeah, we'll show more images of that later. So these are like the big main things coming out in Eldegarde since last season for release. PvE mode, which hopefully will increase what they call in business like the TAM, the total addressable market, or the number of people who are willing to play the game. And this just helps us too. It helps the PvPers if the game is successful and reaches a wider audience. There are just more people who play it. And then Morthog's Lair adds a whole new sort of dynamic to the game. It's accessible for everybody, and it'll just be awesome. And the Paladin is now fits this archetype of player who really wants to play that class. And I think Aaron and other people on the team, this is like their class. So I think uh, that will round out the suite of characters that we offer. All right, you can go to the next slide, Andre.
Before
I
the
think this
next
is just
slide,
like, oh, okay, yeah.
yeah, we actually have, and Song suggested we do this. We have a little treat for the people. The new, with the rebranding and the renaming, we also have and the release of, the Gold Master, we also have a new trailer for the game that came out today, like now, just fresh out of the oven. So if you're okay, we could show that as well.
Yeah, if you want it. Yeah, if you have it up, go ahead. Show it, yeah.
I do.
This world has been desecrated. A new dawn beckons to heal this shattered realm. Will you stand against the darkness or fall into its abyss? Eldegarde awaits.
There it is. That's the kind of
Yeah.
the culmination of everything.
Yeah,
we've
that
done.
was. Yeah, exactly. That was the Morthog's Lair at the end, which is the dungeon, which is really cool. Yeah, there's this one part in it that has all these like rafters where goblins are at, and they're all trying to like knock you off. So it has like this fun depending on who you are, but some
Yeah.
people don't like spaz out about that. I won't say who, but yeah, it has like this cool dynamic and gameplay that we haven't had in the game just yet. So yeah, go ahead and go to the next slide then.
There's the next one.
Yeah, and you guys all kind of saw this in the trailer, but for the Paladin, these are the two sets. For me, our goal is always really to up the bar with bringing the fantasy of these very different classes that are so core that people have loved for decades, or longer since D&D. And I'm really happy with how the Paladin turned out. I think these two sets are so good. For me, it's like the best Paladin sets of in any game. But anyway, so there's these two sets here, and then there's two options, and we want to add more options to all the classes. This is our goal that we're working towards. And so the Paladin will have two culture kits. One is we're leading with Dunaria, and so Dunaria is kind of this culture that is in the Sea of Sands, which is like kind of, if you know the vendor that we have Zahir, he comes from the Sea of Sands. And so Dunaria is a culture there that's all about faith, and then also about dueling, and it has like this whole culture that will flesh out hopefully in the game at some point. And then Stonehaven, which you know what Stonehaven is, and so Stonehaven is another culture. So you could choose both of these will be free, that you could choose which of these two options you want. And really, when we add cultures or ethnicities, things like this into the game, we want to have them not just be like skin tones. We want them to come from a story, come from a place in the game, in the world of Eldegarde. And so anyway, yeah, so we're just starting that here with the Paladin that has multiple options, and then we'll add more to the other classes over time. So you can move to the next slide, Andre. Yeah, so as I was talking about earlier, thinking about this mini MMO concept, right? I think MMOs actually is a very interesting thing. I was talking with, some guys from OTK, and, they're always complaining to me about how MMOs are in a terrible state, blah, blah, blah. And I think MMOs right now have really stagnated. And if you think about it, a lot of their systems really, ultimately, one of the core issues is a lot of the systems have stagnated. Like the combat system usually is still very similar, and all of them, when they come out, they're just sort of, oh wow, it's like tab targeting again, and a lot of spells that they borrowed from other ones, etc. There's not a lot of innovation there happening, right? And then when you think about the open world, right, experience, a lot of times the world just feels like a backdrop. It's not interactive with, we're adding more and more to the game over time, but we're adding more destructible elements, like the warrior could charge through doors and knock them down. The hunter can use wind cyclone to like kind of jump up areas and stuff like that. We're trying to play a lot, like add more of like Breath of the Wild elements to the world, these sort of things. So the world is toy, this sort of element, and then crafting and progression, and we spent a lot of time also with the trait system, so that or a perk system where perks are now on gear. So when you think about your gear and your character's capabilities are interlinked. So there's a lot of stuff that we're trying to innovate on Eldegarde here that I think are going to be innovating really kind of core MMO aspects as well. So I really think, what is an MMO really? An MMO is really, you have one avatar or character, or a suite of characters that are in a shared world that have a variety of experiences. And so I think, although we're not a traditional MMO, I'm an MMO, I used to, whenever someone would say, "Oh, this like Destiny's MMO," I'd be like, "What? No, it's not," because it doesn't really have seamless open world. Like you can have 100 people in one area, right? And so, to me, yeah, even Eldegarde, we're not like a traditional MMO, but I think there's this new category that's emerging, which is kind of more like mini MMO, which has a variety of these sort of experiences that people have, but you don't have like all this like. You have to, even though I love doing it back in the day of like raiding 7 hours a day or a week, or having like this endless grind to get to max level, etc., etc. So it's more streamlined, and I think games like what was that Wushu game that recently came out that people have been playing, or like Fellowship, etc. You're going to see more and more of these games play in this space, I think, because there's this yearning to have something similar to an MMO, but MMOs are just so expensive, it's probably $100 million minimum to even make one. And so not very many people can do it, obviously Riot is working on one, and Ash is just recently released. But I think an innovative next-gen MMO is going to be, is really hard to do. And so that's where I think now about where we want to take Eldegarde is more in this like mini MMO play space. And really, however, even though I say that, extraction could be a very big part of the game. It's the entire loop of the game is extraction. So that will still be a thing. But in the future, we're going to be adding more things like more dungeons, more extraction maps, obviously, some other new experiences. Like one thing I really want to try with is like something more of like a dungeon, or battleground, where it's like a PvP objective map. Think about CTF, Capture the Flag, these sort of things, or King of the Hill and stuff like that. I think our game would do so well having a map like that. And this is also something in surveys, we always see this again, that people want. So let's not like constrain ourselves to like creativity. We could do so many cool things with our game. That's kind of the idea. And then finally, I knew this was going to be a point of topic, and I've noticed it since the beginning of this stream, but we are overhauling loot. And so, this is something John has been working on with the team. And so we're going to increase the frequency of loot and just like basically dial up a lot of the drop chances, these sort of things going forward. And then I'll reiterate what I said earlier about the PvP and the PvE modes, is that they are going to be connected. So it's not like it's like a separate game where like they don't intermix. So they are going to be kind of connected. However, PvP is going to drop loot at a much higher frequency. And there are some loot that will only drop in PvP, I believe, as well. Don't hold me to that. Anyway, so that is our new name with the game, Eldegarde now. A little bit easier to say, not so many words. And we're going to this more mini MMO direction. And yeah, you can go to the next slide now, Andrea. And the launch date now is going to be January 21st. So it's only like, 4 or 5 weeks. I don't know, maybe a little more than that. 5 weeks away. Pretty much the game, we've been having a closed PTR where we're having some of our volunteers here. Some of them are in the chat, I could tell, been kind of helping us surface bugs and these sort of things, and we've been fixing bugs over time. I know we fixed that frickin' scepter bug that's been bugging us for a long time, or got really close to it, I think. So yeah, we're making a lot of headway here, and the game's feeling really good. I think the name really fits well now with the branding of it. I noticed we just kind of flipped a lot of the socials and stuff, so I'm really excited about that. Yeah, so you can move to the next slide. I think that may be it, but yeah. And so if you remember when we did season 3 announcement, I also unveiled a lot of stuff that we've been working on that we want to add after release. And so I just wanted to like go back and kind of remind everyone there. We're working on the witch class, which will be the next class. She's kind of a blend between like a MMO warlock or shadow priest. Has dots and debuffs and these sort of things. And we're working on a Toadfolk. Goal is to have Toadfolk content in the game. Like, we're talking about a dungeon, we're talking about like, a mode where it rains in the map, and all the loot, all the spawning changes to Toadfolk, and that sort of thing in Greenwood and stuff like that. Weather and randomized spawning. And then we're also working on the PS5 console. It's like around like 80% done or so. This is our first time as a studio building a console port, and so we want to make it as good as possible. And so it probably is going to take a bit more time, so it will come up after the release of PC, but it is basically in the oven as we're working here. So it'll be good to have the PC come out first, so we can get our bearings and fix things for console. But anyway, that's some things to anticipate as we after release next. In 2026. Go ahead, Andre, next slide. So yeah, Eldegarde, I hope, new names are hard, and I do have a fondness for Legacy for sure, and we're gonna play with Legacy a bit in the naming and some stuff in the game. But it's coming out January 21st, 2026. We are gonna have some marketing for the game. You just saw the trailer that we just launched. And I've been talking with OTK and Asman and some of the guys there, of hoping see if we can do some collaboration for launch. So yeah, it'll be exciting. I'm very happy to. It's really hard for game devs to launch a full game, and it is this huge honor and a really great life experience. So I'm happy to do that with all of you, and really appreciate everyone in this Discord's time and energy helping us fine-tune this game and help find the fun, what they call it. And yeah, it's been an honor and privilege, and yeah, I feel like I'm launching it with all of you here, which makes it a lot easier and a lot more fun. So thank you. And so yeah, we will allow everyone to ask questions. Yeah. So you can let people raise hands again, Andre.
All right.
It's time.
Well, it's time. I know a lot of people waited a very long time to raise their hands. I don't know if we'll get through everyone, probably not, but we'll just pick people at random. So yeah, and I also wanted to say just thank you everyone for being here with us on this journey, and hope to have you guys along the way even further. Well, should we do you want to moderate? Do you want fewer questions? Do you want to do one per person? We do have a lot of questions. Actually, we have 3 questions. It's not that bad. Let me invite more people. We'll see as we go.
Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey,
Yeah, how's it going?
how are you?
Good. I'm really excited about the new Morthog lair, the dungeon. I think that's an awesome idea. I just have a couple questions about it. Is it going to be open all the time to go into as a PvE dungeon, or is it going to be more of something where we have to go to certain like POIs in the PvP areas to collect things to get like a key to access that area? Is that how it's going to be played, or is it just always open?
Yeah, good question. Yeah. So it's going to be, technically you could always queue to it. So it'll always be available to queue into. However, you will need a key in order to get it so anyone can queue for it, I think, and then zone in, and then there's a gate, and the gate requires a key to open. And only one person in the party needs to use the key, so you need 1 key per party. So let's say you queue with 2 of your friends and you queue together. Only one person needs the key to open to do it. And I think the key, you get it from, the weekly quests, right? We'll give a key, and then there's also a small drop chance from any of the the mini bosses like in the world. So you can potentially farm more of them, but you'll basically get one almost kind of guaranteed weekly. It's kind of the design. It could have shifted, but that was kind of the original. That was the idea.
Okay, awesome. And then I also want to know a little bit about, I guess, the stash. Do you guys have any plans for sorting the stash, like an automatic sort or a search or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's still some time between now and the release. It is something on a list. The task is there. There's some pseudocode written for it, but it hasn't been 100% put in yet. My hope is that we will get that in soon, because I know that is one thing that the players really want.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, like I was saying, we've been trying to focus on closing out the features that we had, and then the bugs. But I agree, like it is a feature that it's at the top of the list.
Okay, awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Thanks for answering my questions, guys. Keep kicking ass.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the questions. Let's get Jiggy Spice.
Hello.
Yo.
So I just have a pretty simple question. It's about the social hub and the sort of mini MMO aspect to sort of bring the whole game together. You sort of touched on it already, mentioning like you might make it a main city or something like that. But in the meantime, would it be possible to just add a like global chat that sort of like makes it feel more MMO-like, if you can see people typing and being active in the game?
Mm-hmm. Inside of the social hub, or in like the entire UI, or
Maybe like in the main menu or something, so people can like look for group for Mortog, or just see other people being active in the game. Basically, it just like gives you this sense that it's like you're part of a big world without like actually having to make a lot of work.
yeah. So in the social hub, there is a zone-wide chat to it. Not a lot of people know about it. You have to press tab, and I think like tab a few times or something to get to it. Not many people use it, because most people use prox chat while they're dueling or something in there. I think it's a good idea to explore. I have to take a look, but it makes a lot of sense to add it to the PvE mode, especially like in the open world, because the PvP one is a little weird, because it's you don't want people kind of, I don't know, I'd have to think about it. The PvP one, just you kind of lose the mystery and kind of the sense of discovery of hunting people down if everyone's chatting and in the global chat. But I do like the idea that you're saying. It's a we can maybe add it to the lobby menu, of kind of getting the sense that it's a lobby, seamless lobby kind of thing, without having the actual, because it'll take a while, like you said, to build out the whole new social hub area. So anyway, yeah, I'll think about that, but that's a good idea.
Yeah, I was mainly thinking like just the main menu, not like in-game, especially not in the PvP map. I agree that would ruin the vibe a little bit.
Right, yeah. Okay, well, good.
That's pretty much all I had.
Fine.
Excellent work
Okay.
on everything though, boys. I'm so excited for launch.
Awesome,
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
All right, let's get some new people. That would be a very, very big chat, wouldn't it? 1,000 people in the chat. Be a big global chat.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yo.
Koopa, I'm just going to answer your question there. Yeah, having a ready up indicator, that's also on the list. It's something that we want to add. And I don't think that one will make it, but for Gold Master, but it's definitely something I want to have.
Afternoon. Y'all able to hear me well?
Yeah.
Perfect. I'll be quick. So I'm really excited about the events. Awesome. I've been asking about stuff like that. But what type of events are you guys looking at, like considering trying to build? Is there any thoughts in the work? Are you looking at any like potential season-long events? And then the second question is, can we maybe test, like, if I can sit in the social hub while waiting for a map to queue? Sort of like Stonehaven, right? Because I've helped a couple new players do their fourth Morthal kills, and I'm sitting for like 10 minutes while they're getting the potions and everything set up. So that'd be really nice.
Yeah, no, I like that idea a lot. Right now in the game we do kind of freeze UI when you queue, and most times the queue is pretty quick. Although if you're queuing arena or something at certain hours, it may take a while to pop, and we kind of do that for anti-cheat right now. But it is annoying. I would like it if there is going to be longer queue times that you can like go to the vendors, you can do things like that. I think over time, I like the idea of the social hub when you're in there. When you're in the social hub, you can queue within there, and you could do, go to the vendors, you could duel and stuff while you're in queue. I think that is like the North Star that we should move towards. It's going to take a bit of time to get there, but I like the idea a lot. Yeah. And then was that the only question, or there was another one I forgot?
What type of events have you guys? Are you or if you don't want to talk about it or you don't feel comfortable, I just figured it doesn't hurt to ask if you can.
Yeah, no. So there's a lot of ideas for events. So there's kind of three categories. There's like small, medium, large. So small event could be a POI changes a bit, right? Like an area in the world, right? Green ruins could change from having undead or skeletons there to have like an ogre and some goblins or something like that, or some other different types of creatures. So every time you zone in, there'll be a different, each area will be a little bit different, and so you don't quite know exactly what will be there, right? That's kind of like more dynamic spawning. A medium category of events could be you're walking around the map and you hear like a trumpet or something, or you hear a bell, or a loud bell in Greenwood or something. It's a bell from like the tower at the castle in the center of Greenwood, and after that happens, maybe paladins are there, and it's like a limited thing where you can like it's a creed of paladins that is what we call the Red Creed, which is like the antagonist paladins, right? Like they're the unfriendly ones. So they're at that PY for a limited time, and maybe there's some sort of loot or something there that is unique or different, and that happens not every time you go to the map. It happens rarely or something like that. So that is like the medium, and then the large would be something like you zone into the map and it's a weather, like it's raining and now toad folk are walking around, and a lot of things dynamically change with the weather. And one thing we want to do with the weather too is it's not just like cosmetic, it would also be affect gameplay in some sort of way. And I don't quite know exactly what that means yet. There's some ideas there, but and the weather could perhaps be seasonal. So during spring it rains more often. Maybe it rains rarely throughout the whole year, but in spring it's more often, and then in winter it snows more often, and then those have different dynamics, different loot and stuff like in them. we can even go far as like, hey, during winter there's squash, and we move like pumpkins only happen during winter and squash or something like that. It's like winter squash, and it's like a certain item that only really kind of spawns during that season or during that weather type. And then so it makes you anticipate all these different events and weather changes and stuff like that. It interacts with the progression system, changes the meta of the game. So now certain potions become more common, or some foods become more common, etc. So having all these different events and all these things like that, I think will make the game feel, the goal, the North Star is to make the game feel like different every time you queue. But anyway, that's like the whole long-term vision of it. I think where we will start is having more dynamic loot POI things, like I said, the small version, and then just grow over time.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, good question.
Thank you. Oh, we got someone.
Did I see someone in job? Let's see.
Someone very special. Yeah, we got Sung in here.
Oh, I
Hello,
think
sir.
I pressed the wrong button.
What's your question?
Sorry.
No,
No, I don't have a question. Sorry.
Well, now you have to say something.
you have to pretend like you asked a question.
You already left. Okay.
Oh, you left? You just left?
He left the
Yeah.
stage.
You did.
Okay. Well, we'll make him come up later. He could think about it.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
Yeah, Sung dodged a bullet. I'm about to expose him. Now, my
Do
question
it.
is really quick. For the PvE mode, is it going to be a higher player count than PvP in the
interesting.
match?
Yeah. That's something I haven't really considered. Right now, it will have kind of really the same player count, I think. The player count is more, not so much. We do have the affordance or the justification to increasing it a bit, I think, because in PvP it has to be at the sweet number to where we're trying to create collision between players, but then it's not too much where it feels just like, like a battleground or something, or deathmatch. But PvE, we do have the affordance to increase it a bit. I would say though, if we increased it too much, then it will be like, oh, this person's cleared out my entire area or something, and it becomes even more, you'll want PvP on again.
Got it.
But yeah, we could play with that for sure. It's a good idea to bring that up. It's something I didn't quite think about yet.
Right, because I think like in the PvE mode, if there are just like in season 1, I used to see people all the time in Greenwood. It was the only map, and I was like, yeah. This feels like a mini MMO.
Yeah.
And I think the PvE mode could do that. If you just like see a bunch of people running up on this spot, there are the issues where the mobs could be cleared, places already looted, chests already open, barrels are cracked open. That could be a problem, but I feel like the PvE mode would be a good way to get people into the mini MMO aspect of it, and then the extraction mode is like you're going into the hardcore PvP. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I think that's something not too hard to kind of tune or change. So yeah, we can keep an eye out for that one and test how it goes at launch. And yeah, we could up the count if we need to.
And my other question was about keys. With the loot going up, are keys going to be rarer? Because I know I think you guys added different ways to craft keys, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Do you know if John's in the
I
chat?
haven't crafted any keys because I still can like find them and use them whenever I want. But will the actual key rooms themselves be super juiced if we're turning up all the knobs? And will those static spawns that are like the floor spawns where sometimes you can find lodge items and that kind of stuff, are those going to stay the same? Or I know we can't put like actual gear on the floor because there's no model for it. It's just with the white light. So I was just wondering if the actual like static drops in the key rooms might become a little more frequent.
There it is. We got John in here. He should have the answer.
There he is.
Yeah, he joined. You're deafened though, John. There you go.
There might be some feedback. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
I can hear myself. Okay. Oh, hang on. Troy's gonna turn off his speaker. Okay, so the question was specifically about keys, and I guess my question is, do you think they should be more rare or more common or just juiced?
I'm not sure. I'm thinking like if keys stay the same, like the drop rate, because I played quite a lot in season 1 and 2, and I found a ton of Baron keys in season 1 on the night map, and they have like pretty decent loot. And I was just wondering, like, if that stays the same and like the key rooms themselves are like super juiced up, is that going to be like balanced, or because I can't remember if they can be crafted or not, so I was wondering.
I don't think, unless I'm forgetting, I don't think the Baron key got added to the barters, but I could be wrong. I'd have to go look. I kind of did that on a quick, that was like a midnight run on those. The keys should ideally be balanced as, like, we know what they are worth. We know what's in the room, we know what's in the chest, so it's just kind of factored into the drop rates and how easy or difficult they are to trade for. So it's definitely part of the formula, if you will.
Cool.
It's a good thing to bring up too.
Yeah, I would honestly like just the key spawns themselves to stay the same. The problem I have in Arc Raiders is you get a key, and then you go to the room, and it's just like terrible loot in there.
Yeah, I think because it's you bring up a good point. It's extra effort, right? You're like, okay, well now I've got to carry this key around, and I've got to go find the chest or the room that this stuff is in, and then I got to get out with it. Like, it should, it should be kind of like extra cool, right? There should be special things in there. There should be more loot than would normally be for whatever the drop is worth. So yeah. We don't want those to be disappointing at all.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thanks for the question. Thanks, John, for.
Yeah. Well, John, do you want us to stay up? People
I'll
may
hang here,
have
yeah.
more questions. Yeah. If there's any other questions for loot, by the way, John's up here and he's happy to.
Is he?
All right. He'd be very happy.
Hello again.
G-Spice again.
I just thought of a question regarding wipes and wipe schedules and how long the wipe seasons last. Is there any changes going to be made to that?
Nothing to share just yet about us changing the schedule for that. It was something we played around a bit during early access, and I felt like the cadence was decent. Yeah. So the last wipe we did actually was a little bit faster, and that was another experience to kind of see. So yeah, I kind of think usually our expectation for like hardcore players or people who are like, pretty much a lot of people in this Discord, let's say, I think probably like 4 weeks or something is like a good amount of time to kind of like get a really great experience of the season, complete, the campaign, or the chronicle, and then some of the campaigns, that sort of thing, and then kind of just play other characters or do arena or do some things like that. And then for the vast majority of other casual players, they take a little bit longer than that, like maybe 8 weeks, something like that. So I think that kind of window of time of seasons around 3 months or 12 weeks or something makes sense. But if we get feedback or if people feel like it's too short or too long, we can adjust that. I noticed someone here as well, like mentioning that it also has to do with like content creation, and that's true, that we have to kind of tie the seasons to like how quickly the team can put together content. I think there's a certain expectation or amount of content that makes sense for a season, and it takes some time for us to do. If the company and everything, the team grows and we have more capabilities, that could also change things. It's been interesting to kind of see that, because I noticed like Tarkov's seasons grew longer over time. I don't know if that means anything, but I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. No real immediate plans for that yet, but based on feedback, we're always happy to take a look with that.
What do you think about the Arc Raiders' approach to the wipes?
Yeah, I haven't had the chance. I played the game a bit at launch, and then also before that in one of their tests, stress tests. So I got a good sense of the game and that sort of thing. But I hadn't pushed the wipe button yet with it. So I don't have a personal experience with it yet, but I have noticed some anecdotal conversations with it that it didn't really feel. So there's two things, right? There's the wipe for the player and like them going through their own experience. But there's also something as wipes also are where a content drop happens. It all kind of concentrates at the same time, right? And so for Path of Exile, I think does this the best, where they wipe things, but then they also have a huge content drop. And if you look at kind of their say Steam charts or just this how the game their marketing or like how the game when people know to come back, it creates that like opportunity, right? And I think when you just have a ability to press a button to self-wipe yourself, I think this is better for the player individually in some cases, but it also gets rid of this this cadence of having this like event in the game where like everyone knows it's time to come back. It's like a shared like social like experience, right? And I think I'm noticing a lot of players lamenting that that isn't really a thing in Arc, and because they don't have that wipe system, right? So I think I don't know. I think it's still I still have to think more about that, and obviously I have to like spend more time playing with it to kind of feel that out. But it is interesting. I think it's really great that they're doing that experiment. I really encourage that of all developers to experiment and find new things that can work. But I mean, it's more of a question for you guys or the community or players to kind of see what makes sense. But anyway, that's my own personal thoughts on it.
All right, thank you for the answer.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for the questions,
Yeah.
Mr. Jiggy. We got a few more raised hands here.
Yeah, so we probably have time for at least like 10 more minutes, I think, Andre.
Okay.
Yeah.
We won't go. We won't get to everybody. I'll just rapid fire as much as you can, I guess.
Hey guys,
don't.
I'll
Yo.
make these quick. Is the safe going to be used in 1.0? Is that going to be viable?
Yes. Thanks for asking this question. I forgot to mention this. So the safe. I think everyone here probably knows what the safe is, but the safe is a lodge module where you can put some items into it, and then at the season wipe, they remain and they persist for the next season. It was an experimental feature that I was really interested in. There's a lot of like feature opportunities with it. It's been buggy, and it creates some balance issues and stuff like that. So right now, we're going to put the safe on in ice. We're going to put the safe into the safe, and so it will not be at the full 1.0 release of the game. It's there. We can revisit it at some future point of time, but it was a really great experiment. Not all experiments are 10 out of 10, and so we could revisit in the future. There's actually another feature that we're working on that has an opportunity for something like the safe, but it's different. I'll talk about that another time. But so we can always revisit it with that. But I heard the feedback from the players, and with kind of some of the bugs and issues that it has, and we don't have a lot of time to like make it, a 10 out of 10 right now. So we are just gonna. It won't be in a 1.0 release. So thank you for asking that question. So
Sweet.
I forgot about that.
And then one more quick one, and this is like sidebar. I don't know how important it is, but after 1.0, and say the game like blows up, it does well, which we're all hoping that. Will you expand on your guys' end to handle the workload of a huge player base and such? How will that work? Because you're gonna need more hands if there's more, well, if there's more hands on the other end, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is really the game is built out to scale if that does happen, right? I mean, all of the server, all the accounts, all that sort of thing is built out to scale if that is the case. Um, so there's that. There's it's a good problem to have. If um, I just don't quite know exactly what the challenge would be with like that would be hard to deal with like a larger player base. I mean, there's just going to be more mm, like hands being raised and meet the devs, these sort of things, and more players to talk to and that sort of thing. But I don't know. It shouldn't be that big of an issue.
Sweet. That was all I had on my mind.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the questions.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get ABD no.
Yo, hello guys.
Yo.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I wanted to ask, like, at some point you did a survey for the season 3, and I know that many people, especially in the Discord, are like they expect something to change, or like change in their way, right? They're saying do X, do Y, and the impact, or I think like players can find like a lot of problems, right? But the solutions itself are usually on your side that you have to find. I was wondering on the survey, and I think it's a good survey. What did you get out of it? Like you asked, for example, for the most fun classes or like the most boring classes, so to say. Do you still like remember on top of your head what were like the most fun classes or like hated classes?
I can't remember. I can't recall exactly all the survey results. I did read every survey response. And really, the goal for it is not so much to know which is the most popular, which is the most fun necessarily. It's more to see the delta between them. Because if there's a huge gap between, say, the most to the least, that's kind of a problem. But to be honest, every time when we do the survey, the gaps aren't that high. And so that we noticed that in the last survey. There were things in there that we did know that were problematic. Some stuff with some stuff that's been fixed since, which was some things with wizards. A lot of wizard gameplay, I think, was predominantly, they felt that was the most powerful. And in terms of fun, it was like, I don't think it was the most fun, but it was like, average or something. So we knew that the wizard has a bunch of issues or balance issues at the time that we kind of addressed. So, yeah, I mean, really, ultimately, a lot of the survey feedback gets reflected back when we do meet the devs and when we change stuff with the game. Like, even again, in the survey, there's a lot of conversations about broadening the game or adding more modes, like the PvE mode, or questions about the Paladin, these sort of things. So, but yeah, good question. I guess we never did like usually with the surveys, I like to do a meet the devs where we go over it, but I guess we didn't have, it's been the mad dash of, we just been heads down focus. So
yeah, you guys did a lot of work. Okay, yeah, I think that's it for me. Thank you guys, and yeah, Merry Christmas later on.
yeah, you as well.
All right, cheers. Should we do one last?
Yeah, let's do one last one.
All right, give me 1 to 3 a number.
3.
3. There it is.
Hey guys.
Yo, how's it going?
Hey, mine's just a loot question. I know we said we're incentivizing PvP maps over the PvE maps, but do we have a general idea of how incentivized we're going to make those? Because I know a lot of the PvP players, or a lot of the casual players, they're not going to feel like they should go in and risk their loot if we're talking, PvP maps have a 5-10% better loot drops. We need like 200-300% better loot in the PvP to give people a reason to go in there, to incentivize them to fight for it and lose their gear. So I'm just wondering if we have a general idea of how or juiced we're going to make the map.
I mean, oh, sorry. Hang on. Okay. What would you think about 6%?
6% sounds a little
We could
soft.
maybe go to 6.5. No, I can't give you exact values because I'm actually still kind of tweaking them, but I do think it does need to be in like the 1 to 2 to 300% in some aspects, right? You got to be like, I can lose stuff. You got to just be, and like Chris said, there's going to be some stuff you can only get there, or it'll be like such a small chance normally. You know, you think about like legendaries. Legendaries will probably be only realistically farmable in the lair and PvP.
Yeah,
that
because
kind of thing.
that
So
that sounds wonderful.
And all the rest of the loot too. You know, maybe not everything. Maybe not like. I don't know about resources. I mean, definitely we'll amp those up, but you know, mostly drops from kills and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly where it's gonna land, but it's got you're on the right track there. It's got to be juiced.
Yeah, because let's be realistic. You know, if it's only 6-10%, right? In PvE maps, yeah, you can die, but the risk really isn't there. If we're talking full PvP maps, on average, you know, half the players die before they make it out. And that's the risk versus reward needs to be there to really generate that excitement, you know? And so it sounds great that you're kind of on the same page.
Totally agree.
But all right, thank you guys. I'm looking forward to the Gold Master. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, got any closing thoughts, Chris, John?
John?
No, I don't have any closing thoughts.
Yeah.
Hey, oh, I guess my only closing thought is, by the way, that there's still everything is work in progress on the PTR. Don't take anything there as what it's going to be like. There's so many things I'm still tweaking. You know, we will kind of let you know when things are actually like applied in a way that they should get good feedback.
There it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say once again, really appreciate all the community. I always have such a good time when we do these, and yeah, happy that the name landed pretty well, and look forward to the Gold Master next year. It'll be very quick, and yeah, hope to see you next year.